Never stop reading the Bible.
Welcome. Today we're tackling one of the most dramatic passages in all of ancient literature, the final judgment as it's laid out in the book of Revelation. We're going to unpack the intense symbolism and the pretty shocking sequence of events to get to the heart of its message.
So what exactly are these final judgments? Well, to get to the bottom of that, we're going to dive right into chapters 16, 17, and 18, which describe this series of final, absolutely catastrophic plagues that are poured out onto the world.
Okay, let's kick things off in chapter 16. What we see here is this rapid-fire sequence of catastrophic events. They're known as the 7 bowls of wrath, and believe me, they represent a terrifying escalation in the story.
Now here's something you gotta understand to really get what's happening. These plagues are different from the ones that came before. The earlier trumpet plagues, they were partial, right? They only affected a third of the world. But these final bowl plagues, they are total, way more severe, and they have a very specific target, the followers of the beast.
So the whole thing begins with this direct assault on humanity and the planet's very lifeblood. First, agonizing sores. Then, the second and third judgments poison the entire sea and all the fresh water, turning it all to blood and just wiping out everything living in it.
And it doesn't stop there. The assault goes cosmic. The 4th bowl unleashes the sun, scorching people with intense heat. The 5th bowl plunges the beast's kingdom into this deep, painful darkness. And the 6th? It dramatically changes the geography, drawing up the massive Euphrates River to pave the way for a final battle at a place called Armageddon.
The final plague is the big one. It's the climax, a truly earth-shattering cataclysm. It's poured into the air itself, and it triggers the greatest earthquake in human history. It is so violent that it literally reshapes the world, splits a great city into 3, and causes islands and mountains to just vanish.
And as if a world-altering earthquake wasn't enough, get this, the devastation continues with hailstones weighing around 30 kilograms, that's nearly 70 pounds, crashing down from the sky. Can you even imagine the sheer destructive force of that?
Okay, so after that absolutely wild sequence of events, chapter 17 kind of shifts gears. The focus moves away from the action of the plagues and more toward explaining the target of all this judgment, a powerful symbolic figure called Babylon the Great.
So, we're introduced to this figure called the Great Prostitute. Now, this isn't a literal person. It's a symbol for a seductive, corrupt, world-spanning system. It represents the appeal of wealth, luxury, and power, a system that persecutes anyone who stands against it.
Then, an angel basically breaks it all down, decoding the political symbols in the vision. The 7 heads of the beast that Babylon is riding on, they're seen as a line of 7 kings or empires. And the 10 horns, they represent 10 future rulers who are all going to team up with the beast for a short time.
And here is the crucial part. This whole alliance is completely unstable. First, they all unite to go to war against the Lamb, a symbol of ultimate redemptive power, but they're destined to lose. Then, in this just stunning twist, these political powers, the beast and its allies, violently turn on the very system that they once propped up, and they destroy her themselves.
And that sets the stage perfectly for chapter 18, which doesn't just predict Babylon's fall, it describes its total economic and social collapse in vivid, almost cinematic detail. It really shows you the world's stunned reaction. Right in the middle of all this chaos, an urgent call comes down from heaven. It's a plea for people to get out, to separate themselves from this corrupt system, to cut all ties so they don't get swept up in its moral decay and ultimately its destruction.
And then the text paints this incredible picture of global mourning, but it's a very specific kind of grief. The world's power players, the kings, the merchants, the shipping magnates, they aren't weeping for the city itself. No, they're weeping for their own lost profits. Their sorrow is all about the money, mourning the collapse of the system that made them all so rich.
All right, and this brings us to the final symbolic act that really seals the deal on Babylon's fate. The story uses this incredibly powerful physical image to show just how absolute and final its collapse is.
An angel picks up a massive millstone and hurls it into the sea. And the message here is just crystal clear. Just like that stone sinks instantly, violently, and is gone forever, so too will this great global system be thrown down, never ever to be found again.
The destruction is total. The text says that all the sounds of a busy, thriving society, music, work, the light from a lamp, even the voices at a wedding, they will all just fall silent. It's a complete and permanent erasure. So,
Reading this ancient account of total systemic collapse really leaves us with a pretty provocative question. In our own world, with its deeply interconnected economic and political powers, what does this vivid vision of justice and consequence mean for how we think about power, corruption, and our own place within these systems today?
This explainer was brought to you by the Center Studio.